So
razakiyat on both level, like bodily and yeah.
You can in fact start it by giving your own take on it.
No,
others will catch up.
Get the answer. I didn't get I got quite a bit. It was pretty actually good. Some parts were very some verses that I probably missed. Yeah, or you forget. It has to be a repetition. You can't just read once and then don't go back.
I agree. It is. I keep forgetting as well. I
mean,
Allama Parvez used to also go over it again and again, and I'm sure he used to.
Yeah, there's a reason behind it. Repetition. That's why every year when in Ramadan, if you finish the whole Quran, in medicine we call CME, continuous medical education, and God has created a CQE, continuous Quranic education, which is every 1 month in a year. So that's to just revise all the laws so it stays within our reach. So whatever, if we make a little mistake during any time, so that comes right in front of you. Oh, that Quran says this. So the reason why we do CQE is to maintain at least the whole year with those laws.
Amjad Bhai wants to ask a question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Ji, welcome Bhai. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. The question I have is accumulating wealth. It's clear is not allowed. But in this situation where people have business and they obviously do accumulate, what's your take on that? I mean, you have a business, you automatically do accumulate wealth, and then you do distribute as where is needed. But we haven't got a system. So what do individuals do in that aspect? In the current situation.
Very, very good question. I'm glad you asked that question because I probably didn't explain it. I don't think I explained it. The reason is that, of course, that's a big question or explanation in its own right. The reason is that we are living in a man-made system. Capitalist system needs capital, and no business we can run without capital. If I don't have capital, then I'll go to a bank and acquire it. I need a house, I'll have to go to the bank and get it. This is inescapable, inevitable. And over here, we need to be very clear that we are living in a system which is based on surplus capital, and we will always have a lack of capital in our life unless we become super rich. And problem with the Quranic people is they are never going to become super rich because the stage reaches where you don't want to go beyond that. So Bill Gates will not, I don't think Tulu Islam will ever produce Bill Gates. So we have to create a balance here. Over here, we are training ourselves for the system of Deen, and to train ourselves for the system of Deen. In today's presentation, our Quran is emphasizing a lot on changing our thinking. So what we need to do is that we define our own needs. There's no system here. I define my own needs and the needs of my family and, of course, whatever my responsibilities are, and then decide that how much I can spare. But at the same time, I should understand that whatever I'm holding back because of the system, and I'm holding back because of the fear of not going poor, is against the system of Deen. So while I understand that I'm holding back this because if my car is getting old and I have to change it and I need some money at some point, let's say in 2 years' time, then that money which I'm holding back, if I give it away all, which is the ideal situation, then I will not be able to change that car, which will start giving me problem. And if I'm doing some business, some job, then I will not have a reliable car. So these are the things which we have to work out ourselves. And when these doubts and suspicions arise within our own mind because we are reading the Quran, then we have to deal with them at our individual level. And that is something which we need to understand, that in this, there is no compulsion from Allah's side. It is not that we are committing a crime at this stage, but we are thinking through the problem seriously, that I don't like it. For example, I hate spare wealth, to tell you very frankly, but there are certain compulsions because of which you cannot avoid it. And that spare wealth is all the time is hurting my conscience, myself, that why you are holding on to that, because this is the need of somebody else. And these are the compulsions imposed on us by the hell in which we are living. These are not my created. So I hope this you understand. And I don't have an answer for that. I'm sure others can comment on that as well. Literally, this system is imposing on us. Dr. Hamid, please.
I believe, as Quran says, "Nahnu narzuqukum wa iyyahum," that if the system has taken the responsibility of yours and your children and your elders, so if that is the case, then there is no need to hold the extra wealth. Actually, it's a blessing not to constantly think, let's get this, this is for my children, I'll save this, I'm keep my bank balance big. Why we do that? We don't have to. All our life goes in, and we spend time doing this. If the system guarantees us that don't worry about it, we'll take care of your children and elders, you do your maximum potential, you actualize it, you research, you invent. Every human has a certain potentials, like plants. Some plants produce apples, some plants produce berries. So every human came here for some purpose. What happened with the schooling and with the militarization, we all try to do one thing. Okay, but my parents want me to be a doctor, but I probably had a different purpose here. So same thing, we have to understand our purpose. The only reason we understand our purpose is when we are given the ability to do whatever you want to do, but we also provide the sustenance free of cost. Rizq is basically sustenance free of cost. Atiyatan given to you. So it's not like, and given according to your needs as you grow. So what I'm saying is, if we develop that society, then we don't need to do that. But in this society, as Brother Amjad said, now Professor mentioned also in certain places, if you remember, that he said, because there's no guarantee to you and to your children and to your older. Now, what we have to do, should we get insurance? Sure, he said in his. So because the reason is, no, if you suddenly something happens, what happens to your children, what happens to your family? Because you need to protect yourself to be independent. God also demand us to be independent. So if the only way you can be independent, but because you have to work hard in this world, you have to have insurance, you have to protect your family, because the government is not taking responsibility to protect your family, protect your children. So this is where we are in this dilemma, when we individually think, oh, I should not hold. But if you don't hold it, you think somebody's going to help you or the government is going to help you? No, that's where the problem is. You do whatever you can do in your capacity today, but keep thinking to build that society. I was, as I mentioned, I was with Jacques Fresco in Florida. He died a couple of years ago, but he was 102 years old. He had imagined a society. That's why I went to see him, because it was kind of based on Nizam-e-Rububiyyat. So he said, in that society, no human should own anything. No human should own anything. But everything will be given to you, to every human of that society, as it's like a library. You have a library, you go there, you read a book, you put it back for others. You go there, you get a lawnmower, you mow your lawn, and then you put it back for others. You have a supermarket available. You go there, get your eggs. Okay, the first day probably you're gonna get 24, but then 12 will gonna be rotten. So then you're gonna realize, you know what, I really need 24. The rest I will leave it for others. So this will develop your habits, change your habits gradually, because everything is available for your basic need outside, provided by the society. It's like a library. You go there, you have it. You don't have to ask anybody. You don't have to beg anybody. You don't have to work for it. What you are doing, taking only what you need. And then you are working now you don't have to work to get money to save my children. You have enough time to reflect on yourself. In this COVID time, I call it time of reflection. The people have some time, even though it was 3 months or 4 months, they have changed so much. Not everybody, but I have seen some changes here in the United States, where people this in the United States, they're calling it, like we had a Great Depression. They're coining the term Great Resignation. Means people who are even making $150,000 resigning from their jobs. They say, we don't want to do a job. We can do something ourselves. Why we have to work for somebody? So basically, certain things, when you're given a chance to reflect, even early childhood, then those children are out of box. Those children can do wonders in the world. And every human who have done in this world something didn't go through school. Schooling, the Bob Marley song, Don't School Me, schooling means you are putting them in a box. You are militarizing it. You are making every child the same way, thinking the same, doing the same, playing the same. Every human have a different imagination. Why I have to do what others do? I remember Jacques Fresco, he said, I was in school and in Brooklyn. So everybody in the morning was doing a Pledge of Allegiance. So I wouldn't do that. I would stand still. And the teacher sent me to the principal that this guy does not follow what other kids do. The principal asked him, why do you do that? Everybody does it. But he said, it doesn't mean if everybody does, I should do the same thing. I would do allegiance to the word, not to a nation, collectively. He was like 10, 11 years old. And that's what he was different. And they kicked him out from the school. And the principal said, I understand you. Any book, anything you need, I will provide to you at home. And that's where he was different. That's where he invented so many things. So what I'm saying is, we are in a problem because there is no society exist where we can create such a thing, where every human is free of basic necessity, so they can develop their selves more than.
Well, thank you very much. Now,
the answer. So one thing else I just want to add is,
yes, please.
Individually, we try to be free from all this, basic necessity, and try to free ourselves so we can think higher level. We are all, collectively are here with one mission, one thought. Is there something collectively? Sorry, Dr. Yasab, it's me just thinking again in a different light. I know you're smiling. We often have these questions.
I know about your question is about what we should be doing collectively, but collectively we are here sharing it together. So this is collective effort. And when we disperse from here, it's just like what Quran says, Mu'mineen come together for the prayer of Jummah or Salat of Jummah. And once you disperse, go and look for rizq and for in Allah's land, and then come back when the next call comes. So this is a stage in which we are at the present. Expecting something concrete out of it, just put down all the difficulties we have. And merely, just even this question of yours means that we are still struggling to find an answer, a logic to that, which Dr. Hamid has very nicely explained and elaborated. So we are at a stage where they call it in corporate language, forming stage where any corporation, any business which is trying to set itself in a world market, the main players, stakeholders, they come together and they start making a team and come together and understand the aim. So this is something which we need to be all the time thinking that we are on Allah's path, 100%, we know it. We have left all beliefs which had contaminated our minds out of our head. We have taken them out. We are far more free than what we used to be. See, the presentation of today and the discussion which we are having, our exchange of place, we couldn't have done it if we hadn't come to the Quran. Ask anyone outside. They will never talk about it. So I think we should be, there is a lot to think through it. Ji Iqbal bhai, assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wonderful presentation, sir.
Well, thank you.
Actually, मैं बात ये कर रहा हूँ कि अभी सारे लोगों को बड़ी मुश्किल लगती है ये सिस्टम लाने में, क्योंकि हम मुख्तलिफ सोसाइटीज में मुख्तलिफ तरीकों से वेल्थ स्टोरेज जब तक नहीं करते हमारी अपनी जिंदगी आगे नहीं बढ़ती। लेकिन जो सोसाइटी कुरान करीम बताता है उसकी मेंबरशिप की बुनियादी मुख्तसर तरीन जो लफ्ज कुरान करीम ने लिए हैं वो ये है कि अपनी जान, अपना माल खुदा के हाथ बेचना है और उसके वो सारी बेनिफिट्स आने हैं जिसकी वो जन्नती जिंदगी कहते हैं। वो यहाँ भी हो सकती है और आगे भी हो सकती है। अब सवाल ये पैदा होता है कि जब मैं अपनी जान दे सकता हूँ तो मेरी जो स्किल है, ख्वाह मैं इंजीनियर हूँ, डॉक्टर हूँ, ये कुछ भी मेरा नहीं रहता। ठीक है, हो सकता है ये बहुत एक्सट्रीम हो, ये अभी बहुत मुश्किल हो, लेकिन अगर हम इस सोसाइटी के मेंबर बनना चाहते हैं तो उसकी मिनिमम रिक्वायरमेंट जो है वो ये है। अभी हमारा टारगेट ये होना चाहिए। ठीक है, अभी हम उस तरफ जाएंगे, कुछ चीजें few of them we can adopt it right now, लेकिन कुछ उसको डेवलप करने में, डालने में अपने उसमें टाइम जरूर लगेगा। It will take a time, लेकिन टारगेट चाहिए। ये इसलिए कि आपका गोल ये है, that is given by God, not by us. Few words, only 3 total sentence है। हमारे माइंड में ये होना चाहिए। अभी हम मैं स्टार्ट लेता हूँ, मैं अगर कोई भी एबिलिटी रखता हूं तो वो मेरी ही नहीं रहती। अभी हमारा मतलब ये है कि इस वक्त जो एज ए टुडे सोसाइटी है वो अपनी काबिलियत के बना पे मैं दौलत जमा कर सकता हूँ। वो काबिलियत ही मेरी नहीं रहती तो मैं दौलत किसके लिए जमा करूंगा? दैट विल बी प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ सोसाइटी। यू आर अ डॉक्टर, your services will free of for everybody. In return, you will get your need will be fulfilled by the society. तो ये है, ये मेरी मतलब मैं just add up कर सकता हूँ। Thank you.
Agreed. यही पॉइंट जो मैं उठाना चाह रहा था कि कुरान ने जो कहा है कि इन्ना अल्लाह अश्तरा मिनल मुमिनीना अनफुसहुम व अम्वालहुम अन्ना लहुम जन्नह। तो ये रीजन थी उसकी कि when you start thinking that way, when you believe in this in your core contract, then you can do anything in the world. So then he said, if you can do in New York, or if you can do in Karachi, or if you can do anywhere else, he said, li'ibadil lazina amanu in arazi wasiyatun, because my word is ample. Find out where you can go, and then so do there and then develop that society there. So find out a place. If it's not feasible in here, if it's not feasible in other places, so look for a place where you can collectively go there and develop it, like Karl Marx were looking for the right place, the Moscow or whatever. Then he said, Wallazina amanu wa hajaru wa jahadu fi sabilillah. So what he did is, first he said, my earth is ample. If it's not happening, where you are a very like a pharaonic mentality, you can't do it here, capitalistic. Find a place where you can build a little society, even a smaller one. So that is the first criteria he's giving it to you. Go look for it, Sirul fir Ars, and find out where the possibilities are. And then Wallazina amanu wa hajaru wa jahadu fi sabilillah wallazina udu nasaru ulaika humul mu'minina haqqan. Then he said lahum maghfiratan wa rizqan kareem. So when you go there and develop that, what you did, you did the hijrat, which is very, very crucial. Why he's using the word hijrah, even though he said, even if you're doing a hijrah just to develop that society, on the way, if you die, don't think you died. We are providing you the sustenance from God himself. So he said, one who does the hajaru, wajahidu, fi sabilillah. So it means the hijrat is a very, very crucial thing. And every prophet did, we know that. So first thing is, figure it out, where is the possibilities, where this seed can be sown. So find out, then move there. Hajaru, wajahadu, then struggle there. Obviously, it's going to be a struggle. It's not even though you go in a village in Pakistan, there is still three mentality exists there. The mullah, the chaudhry, and the other people. They're going to be there anyway, wherever you go. But there will be a struggle. But even if you change one village, you collectively do something beautiful that a village changes according to what you think is Quranic. That's all you need. That's all you need. Things will propagate and progress from there. We only need to build a tiny place. Even when they ask Quaid-e-Azam, why are you settling on a smaller portion of what we thought we're going to have everywhere, the Muslim majority? He said, don't worry about it. We're not looking for a big or small. We're looking for a piece of land where we can implement. It doesn't matter how big it is. It could be a little island. When you develop that, then the other world will see that. And they say, what kind of life we are living? They are living a totally different. That's why Makkan was started thinking, when whoever comes from Medina telling us they are living this way. So we should live that way. So right now, no human knows how to live in this world. That's the problem. Once you show a tiny piece of it, it's going to happen. They're so desperate. The population of the world at large are so desperate today to do anything to have a better life, to better system. So the problem with us, we're not getting up to develop that a little thing. It's still a struggle. I'm not saying it's just going to go there and it's going to happen. The struggle is going to be the same, but it can happen. Once you, like you said, when you decide that, okay, this is, first of all, he said, Inna Allah ishtara min al-mu'minina anfusahum wa amwalahum. Mal, as Dr. Sahab said, the mal is given by him. Majority is given by God to us. Because he said it's a maida. The earth is a maida, is a dastarkhan, right? And you can take whatever you want. So it's the same way, if he has given us everything, so that means that's not ours. And when we're going to die, we're not going to take a single penny with us. Believe me, whatever I have is going to stay here. Somebody else is going to utilize it. So number two, so if my kids can use it, or I can give it to somebody else, I can take it and develop that society. It's better, because if here I'm going to give it to two people, or I'm probably can give it to, imagine what happened to Quaid-e-Azam. He was in a dilemma. His wife died. He has only one child. She was 11, 12 years old. And then he was like, now I have one child, which I have to take care. And now over here is millions of people. So this is what he gave up. So So he took a millions responsibility rather than one. It has to be inner drive that I have to do it, I have to do it, I have to do it. But if we want to experience that feeling that that we did something, we migrated, we went there, we put some effort, and nothing happened, don't worry about it. God says, we're not asking you to have a result. Result is my problem, not your problem. Your problem is to act, and life is given to you by me. It's not even mine. He's just asking to pledge it to me. That's it. Anfusahum, pledge it. Give it back to me. And then mal is not your, yes, you worked hard for it, but it's still, like Darsa said, out of 11, 6 things he gave us and 5 we put it in, right? So the 6, at least half and half. If we can give half of ours, I think he can give us Jannah. That's what I think.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shah Riaz has raised his hand. Yes, Shah.
And
I think that
do it.
your thinking is, I concur with that thinking. At this stage, best is that let's get through the salient points. And this is a good time to reflect on these issues in a very finer details. And once we have enough of this material together, because this is from the Quran, it is neither yours
No,
nor
you have to be mentally, physically ready
ready for that.
and just unprepared going there and have a disaster. No.
No.
You need to know the formula right to go to the lab. If you go to the lab without right formula, you're going to have a boom
Yes.
blast. Yes.
You summed it up very well. Yes, Shah.
Yes, I just got a quick question. In terms of capital, now the thing is, if I give an example, like in the past, the discovery of America happened, yeah? And, Columbus, he went to many like leaders in Europe in those days to get, funding for his ships to go to discover America. He didn't know he was going to discover America. It was a trip to India. But eventually they discovered America by accident.
Right.
And the thing was, because the capital was spread out and not one person is making the decision, he was eventually given by the Spanish king and queen to go there because they were looking also, maybe the Turks were invading. Now, the other side of the world, where you got a global system, one system that controls all capital, China, they had a navy of a very large navy, much bigger than any European country. They were going up and down the coast, they were going to Indonesia, different places. Yeah. What happened is that the emperor goes, you're wasting too much money. We're going to cut you down. He cut the whole navy down. So they didn't discover America, nor they discovered Australia, New Zealand. They didn't discover anything because one person was able to shut everything out. That's what I'm saying. Could be a problem. How would you solve that problem if everybody gives capital to one person and they go, we're not going to do this in, say, for example, a scientific experiment? Like a lot of science is done on basic level. For example, basic research is done and discoveries are made. Now, if that person says, oh, we don't, discoveries could be making maybe 100, 200 years, why are we going to benefit? We're going to not give funding for that. Where other, for example, if you've got multiple places, the capital is being spent, maybe the discoveries will happen. So, they're doing it randomly at the moment. Capital comes randomly and random events happen and, some people get, the funding and they can discover something. For example, CRISPR was discovered through pure basic science. CRISPR is a genetic genome, and that wasn't discovered how to, we're going to change a genome. It was basically looking at viruses, how viruses and bacteria, viruses always attack a bacteria. They were figuring out how bacteria fight viruses. And suddenly they discovered this molecule called CRISPR. And from that, they've been able to adapt it. And, a discovery is made and we're changing genomes, right now. But that funding happened on basic level. How do we, if all the resources are in one place and we got a committee to make those resources, how do you know that committee is going to do the wisest decision. You know, where you've got random things happening, multiple places, they might make it better. You know, for example, you got random program generate all possibilities in the landscape, and you got only, giving it to certain areas. That's my question. It's a difficult question. There's probably no answer to it, but
you don't need funding for anything. You don't need funding for anything. You only need human who are selfless. That's all you need. You do not need money. You do not need any funding from anybody. You see, the system is run by laws. System is run by humans, honest humans, dedicated. You can make beautiful laws. If you are corrupt, system will not work. You only need a dedicated, honest humans. That's all. Don't need any funding. You don't need any money. Money is in the earth. You take a village. That's it. This is one seed provides you 700-800 mangoes. You can produce this in a 1 acre of all that everybody gets sustenance and the wheat. That's it. You don't need money or wealth or anything. You need a human who cares, who are developed. They will develop everybody. You see why God developed everything? Because he's developed. It's for him, single entity did it. When he got to that level, he said, I can do it. Same way, one human, what, Mao Zedong was 5 or 10? Or he had millions of dollars? No, there is nothing is powerful than one human. Or could be Muhammad, could be Moses. Nothing, how big was the Pharaoh, how wealth he had, how big system he was developing. So you believe me, any system not run by laws or run by wealth or is run by humans.
Your point is that there has to be some kind of a system on ground to guide human beings towards what I think what Shah
First you have
said.
to develop. Yeah.
What Shah has said is that something on, I've discussed with him on these issues previously. What we need to think, and all of us need to think, is that as and when, let's say day one of the system of Deen anywhere in any land, doesn't matter which country or which village, it has to emerge out of the capitalist system, and it has to go through certain stages of transformation. And for that, we will need the capital, whatever it is, of the capitalist system.
No.
So
those people who are in Makkah, you think they were looking for capital? The Spanish queen was looking for gold. Remember why he convinced her? Why Trump was convinced her? Because he said there is a gold. I know in and out of that history. Spanish history.
I agree with you, but that village will not be in an isolated place outside the capitalist system of that country. It has to initially, at some stage, I agree with you that these things will have to be worked out, that what exactly will be the means of transactions within that state. But initially, whatever we inherit from the man-made system, we will have to grow out of it, should I say.
Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say you have 100,000. I have a 900,000. Riaz has a 200,000. So what we pitch in, we are 10 people divided by 10. So now everybody owns equal. This is what Prophet did. If Usman came into pictures, they took Usman's wealth and divided into Bilal and everybody. So now once you economically equal, no human will be equal once you make them economically equal.
Okay. So I'm
that's
glad you
where the
explained
thing
it, because the way you were discussing it, it appeared as a system of Deen will appear from nowhere out of the vacuum. No, it cannot. No, that's a fair point.
What I'm saying is, let's say you have $100, I have a $200, he has a $500. We collected, divided by the people. Now, I have to make sure you understand this is your. Now we all equal economically. The moment we all think we are economically equal, if I have $100 and he has a 20, he always gonna feel inferior. He always gonna yes to me. This is not how it happened. Bilal he didn't bring anything. Usman brought a lot. So if Abu Bakr brought some. So this is how they divided among themselves. Let's take this. This is not yours, this is not yours, this is not yours. This is collectively ours. We are equal partners. Let's move on to the next step. So this, and the more people join in, the wealth grows as they join in. And that's not wealth of that person anymore. It's a
Yes.
wealth of collective 10 people. So if you have clear ideas of a system, starting from the zero, it's not a big deal to it, and you don't have to. Prophet Muhammad spread it to the Byzantine Empire and the Persian Empire himself in his lifetime. But you don't have to. Even if you create a tiny society where you're living accordingly what you decided, what you have thought, what you believed, that we should have sustenance every human equally. It's possible. Even if it's a 5,000 people in a village or in a town, you can create that. You don't need a big banking. You don't need a big investment. You start living there. The next town will see it. They will go crazy. And they said, do it to us too.
Another thing on that point is that wouldn't the capitalist system try to shut you down? It's going to want to do that.
That's where I said opposite forces. You think it's going to happen very easily? Opposite force is going to be there. So you have to be very mindful. You're going to keep doing very subtle. You just make people believe that around you, that you will have everything. You will have a Jannat society. We are create. Join us. Just join us for the time being. Don't announce loud on the loudspeaker you are creating a Jannah or you're creating a society which is going to demolish the capitalistic. Do not do that. Keep doing like Quran says. Right? Lakum dinukum waliyadin. You keep doing your things. Put your heads down and just keep doing it. One day it's going to develop. Then obviously now those forces gonna see what happened here. Then by that time, you are in a position to take some steps. Yes, there's still gonna be fight. There's still gonna be same thing. You think Badr is not gonna happen when you do that? Obviously, it's gonna happen. He's guaranteeing you. Who's guaranteeing you? God, not Karl Marx, not Biden. God is telling you, if you pledge your life and your wealth in this cause, and then hajaru wajahidu, find out my arz is very huge, find out a place, tiny place, figure it out, an island or any place in a village, and then hajaru, then struggle, and then once you start doing that and follow the laws, ulaika humul mu'minun, he's saying, those are the one they are believing in the system. That's where he will provide lahum yaghfiru, means he will provide the protection through his laws, and then he will give you at the end rizq kareem, because obviously then you develop sustenance. So there is a way in the Quran to come to a page where we think, okay, it's doable. Because we have to study. We all have to study in a way that we can be at the same page. Once you're at the same page, you look at Einstein, any picture around Einstein, there are 5 his caliber people around sitting. What they were doing? They were talking the same theories. They were talking the same long formulas. It's not like he was teaching some children over there. Yeah, he used to teach there too. But when you are at a level, then you bring those people next to you. Now you're growing, because you have to talk to at your level. So you grow together to come up with amazing ideas, because only time you come down with ideas when everybody is the same level. One who stick to it together, those are the one. Very few stick together, believe me. Carl Jung said, if 2 people think alike, they can connect. If they can connect, they can react. If they can react, they can transform. Like H2O, water. H is not water, O is not water. But then two human can same way transform like a work. They don't stay the same. They totally change to a different entity. That determined belief is the only drive. I shouldn't say motivation. I mentioned last time, motivation is intrinsic. Motivation is extrinsic. Drive is intrinsic. One who has a drive will do everything. One who gets motivation from outside, 2-3 days it lasts and then it dies. So that's what I'm saying. So we have to be driven within, not outside.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. And I hope, Shah, you found some clues. These things will be discussed again and again. I know these will come up.
I mean, it has to be repetition.
I mean, my question is probably like secondary once you have the system up.
Yes.
You know, how you can distribute.
Simon,
But he's right. You know, we don't need the cash. We just need the motivation. But there's we know the capitalist system.
He will come to you.
It will come. Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Because it's
let me
money.
one more thing. This when I was reading, if you know your why you want to do it, your purpose, your life. Once you find out your why, do not worry about how. How will be shown to you as you walk towards your why. And I experienced that.
I agree. I agree with you, Dr.
You don't need to know how it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Good point. Very good point. Saima wants to ask some question and then we will call it a day. I think we have gone over our time. Yes, Saima.
Assalamualaikum. I just was wondering in response to Shah's question that the Islamic society that's established, I would presume that it would be very pro-research, pro-innovation and exploration of the space, the navy and land as well. So that would come within it. So I thought that was something that I would add in to what Hamid Bhai said as well.
Yes, I agree with you. What will
That's
happen?
the later process of that society. Like in Muslim world, same thing happened. Initially it was very crude and gradually they did all the researches.
Yes, Dr. Saab is absolutely right. What will happen is that presently we definitely think that how the system of Deen will function and then grow out of the capitalist system. But there is some glimpse of it in our initial era as well. I was reading a book, Urdu book written by Brother Ata Bukhari, Azmat-e-Rafta. And I thought it's a very well-researched book. And in that, he has taken out all the positives. And during the Umayyad era, that is initial Islamic era, a lot of work was done in Damascus and in Syria. And that is where the Muslim rule, should I say, it was not really a rule. If you remember, first 100 years, there was no other constitution except the Quran. And under that, it expanded. And people far and wide, wherever the Muslim forces went, people benefited here. People, invited them or accepted them. And the reason was that wherever we go with the Quran, they are totally different human beings. Those human beings we can't produce under the capitalist system. And at this stage where we are trying to decipher the Quran, or we are looking into the finer aspects of the Quran, at the same time we are changing ourselves, we can see that what kind of a self we now have. It has transformed us individually. And collectively as well, the kind of a discussion we are having, I doubt this kind of discussion or exchange takes anywhere else. And the reason for that is that we have transformed ourselves to a new understanding. So you are right.
So order comes from chaos.
Yes.
So that human will come out from capitalism. That's obviously those humans gonna build only under capitalism, because once you strangle a human to the last drop of blood, that's where he's gonna come out. So of these people gonna come out through capitalism. So now it's a global capitalism. That's where people are thinking different. What the hell? We should come out of this? So they are looking for other things where they should create something different than this. So don't say we cannot come out of production of capitalism will force us. Firaun forced those people to become Musa. So this is how it is. Order will come out of chaos. This Pervez Saab even said, sometimes things happens through the non-Muslims. मुसलमान को मुसलमान कर दिया तूफान मगरब ने, तूफान मगरब ने मार के इराक को, लिबिया को, Tunisia को, this is where the Muslims are getting up. So what I'm saying is sometimes it happens through different ways.
I think AI would automatically destroy capitalism. That's where it's heading.
Well, they are promoting it a lot. Even if you read the Yuval Noah Harari, I mean, he's promoting a lot of this. He's saying no, but his face is promoting everything of that sort. Look at his theories. Theories are to me very fascinating. But the way they are promoting it could be their agenda to next, like when Henry Kissinger was the face of capitalism, the same way this face was brought to promote all these nonsense, the AI.
No,
he's
but
saying
the AI,
not to it, but he's promoting.
What it is, AI is making jobs, eliminating jobs basically, and it's doing it more efficiently. Your computer can work all day. So driving, you name it, even within a company, it's shutting down all different types of people, and it's going to do it more efficiently, because if one company gets AI, all the other companies who's competing against, they can't compete. They have to go to AI, so they have to get rid of their workers, and they would do it automatically, efficiently. Because capitalism looks at the most efficient system.
So what's happening? They call in United States great resignation period. Means people are resigning. AI is creating more unemployment. So the people are not doing, and what they are doing, they are figuring how can I do other things?
No, but the reason, even if, like, for example, it takes a human some time to understand something and learn it. Now an AI comes in, it can learn that whole thing as an expert, as a super expert, faster than any person. Yeah, this is what's happening. It can acquire that knowledge. So the thing is, any field is acquiring, and once it's proves itself, you get a system. Obliterate.
They are making us believe. They're making us believe that AI is powerful. Believe me, human mind, one imagination, you can collect all the world's AI, cannot produce one imagination.
No, we know that. AI at the moment hasn't gone to creating imagination, but as soon as they understand what is imagination, and AI gets that imagination, that's what they call the singularity.
Yeah, but they're saying it one day that we're gonna get there. But look at human. There's no comparison of AI.
Can we shall leave it for some other time?
Yeah.
I think we can explore AI and see if we can build AI to help develop this society.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.